Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Review Podcast. Just want to thank all our fans and listeners. I really appreciate all support. Before we get into tonight's film review, I just want to give a shout out to our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Everything about this podcast you need to know or want to know is on there. We got all of our episodes, our interviews, our blog, our store. If you want to listen to any of our episodes, check out our website. All of our social media links are on there as well. We're on all of them that you can think of: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Go follow us, go like us, subscribe to us, all that good stuff. We've been pumping out a lot more content on all of it. And if you got any feedback for what you want to see posted or anything, just let us know. We love interacting with our fans. And the last thing I'll shout out is our Blood Donors, our version of a Patreon. We have two different kinds. We have the traditional monthly reoccurring. It helps us pay for our podcast, all of our site hosting, web hosting, etc. It takes a great burden off of us. Or if you want to come on our show, or if you have a movie that you just love, or you just want to hear our thoughts on, we have that option available as well as like a one-time donation. We had a great month last month with our female lead month. You know, we've been doing some theme months for the new year, and this month is Never Seen It month, our second time doing it. And tonight is Brother Bryan's pick, and I'll let him explain why we're doing Mayhem instead of his other two picks. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I actually legitimately picked Fright Night, the older one. And, literally as I sat there holding the remote, reading the preview before hitting rent on the movie, I was like, man, I don't want to watch this movie. Like, no offense to anyone who likes it, but it may be great. I don't know. I still haven't seen it. but I was like, this sounds like Disturbia, which I think I think we even said during that review, and then I was like, all right, well, I want to do Near Dark, and I still want to do Near Dark, but we couldn't actually find it anywhere to rent, and it was just it was too quick notice for us to put all that together. So I ended up here on the Mayhem with the help of Shan recommending it, actually, who I think is the only one of us who have actually seen it at this point. But I'm glad I did. It's no cinematic masterpiece or anything, but it's fun as shit. Like, it has some Belko experiment vibes, albeit it's definitely less visceral and serious. But this really reminds me of like a horror version of Jason Statham's Cranked, like where it almost like toes that horror comedy line a little bit. It's an easy ass watch to me. Like Joe Lynch, who did Wrong Turn, Stephen Wynn, who was Glenn in Walking Dead, and I actually was totally pronouncing his name Yun until the director commentary, where I actually learned it's Yin. But he carries this thing on his shoulders. But it's Samara Weaving who steals the show in my opinion. But yeah, I think the word fun and enjoyable are the words I would use to describe my first experience with Mayhem, which is, by the way, streaming and includes director commentary on Shudder right now, which I watched. So there's going to be a lot of stuff from director Joe Lynch on there that I have, at least. Go ahead, man.
All right, I'll go next. Just like Bryan said, I had never seen this movie. So I guess this was very fitting because I haven't seen any movies. This is my month where I'm here to shine. But I think the movie was okay. It was all right. It wasn't anything special. I think all of us in the group text kind of said it was kind of like Belko Experiment plus something. And I put Belko Experiment plus the ending of The Cabin in the Woods, like, throughout the whole movie. Just chaos, fighting, franticism, it was something else. I just think the movie's okay, personally. I like Belko Experiment better just because I feel like there's more consequence. There's more life and death decision. This movie, I watched a friend of the show, Jay Bunn, The Bloodbath and Beyond. I watched their review, and they kind of said how I felt. It's like, I don't know how to explain it, but I just didn't love it. But it's an okay watch, like for one time, a couple times maybe. I mean, you're not going to be bored. It's not a long movie, but the guy said it best. It's like it's kind of hard to just love a story where there's no consequences for the characters because they just get to pass off everything because they had the virus. But they have made a great point, like, how come only a few of them are rabid, but some of them are just chilling? Or, like, it's just a weird virus. But anyway, it's a decent movie. I mean, it's not bad by any means. And I feel like this is female or Women in Horror Month. We get Samara Weaving, which we have another movie starring her. We'll be doing later this month. She's a badass, and so is Stephen Wynn. I mean, them two carried it.
Right.
I mean, it's a good movie. It's decent. It's worth a watch, but it's not like you said, it's not a masterpiece. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, one word that I would use to describe this film is fun. This movie is fun. You both kind of
Exactly.
said a
Exactly.
little bit of how I feel, where it's not great. It's not something that I'm like, oh, you guys. It's not like one of those horror movies you see and you go back and tell people that don't like horror, hey, you have to see this. But as someone who loves horror slash genre films, except for action, uh, I you gotta love this movie. There's just so much fun things happening. You know, you guys kind of mentioned Belko experiment and plus something else, and that's very true. It does have Belko vibes. Um, I'm actually in a disagreement with Nico where I prefer this film over Belko, and we'll get to the reasons why. Partly because it depends on the mood I'm in. If I'm in the mood to watch a serious movie about office drama, horror, I'm going to watch Belko. But if I'm in the mood to kind of see it, kind of, you're kind of giving the workplace the middle finger in this movie. And it kind of led me to start to draw some comparisons. And I know myself and Dustin have turned away some people from our wrestling commentary, but I think this is a character that everyone knows. This movie is the character arc of Stone Cold Steve Austin in a film. It's everyone hates their boss. They can relate to that. They've been shit on by the man for so long. They can't, and they've stood it, and they can't stand it no more. You know, and they give it the middle finger, and then chaos and all hell breaks loose. For Stone Cold, it's flipping birds and giving stunners and pouring beer on people. And for this movie, it's stabbing them with nail guns and wrenches and whatever you can find. And so I really started to draw some comparisons. Like, wow, that's really what this movie is to me. It's the Stone Cold character narrative, and I can relate to that. I think something I like about this movie is it's relatable in a way where we all have been there, where we've been through that mundane Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, or for me, 7 to 4, over and over and over again. And you don't really feel like you're doing anything but just being there. And that this movie, to me, gives us that, and then decides to say, no, I'm not gonna fucking stand for this. And we're gonna get into, some of my favorite stuff. But again, I like the narrative that this movie has. The plot is a little weak, which we talked about. There's some big plot holes. The virus isn't super tight as far as script goes, but it's not so bad that it takes away from my enjoyment of the film. But it is there. It is noticeable. You guys already talked about the cast, but Steven Yeun is great. I'm not a Walking Dead person, so I'd never seen anything with him. But he's really, really good here. I think, I've seen some criticism about him online from this film, and I couldn't disagree more. I think he's really good, but Bryan mentioned it. Samara Weaving steals the show, man. She's fantastic. She's great in The Babysitter, which I love with all of my heart. It's one of my guilty pleasure films, and I love Ready or Not, which I'll hold my breath on that. But I love Ready or Not as well. So even the supporting cast, someone I want to give a lot of credit to for playing a very stoic character that I talk about that I love later is Dallas Roberts, who plays Lester. He plays that character exactly what an HR person is like. And I love that about this film. It's portrayed so well. It's kind of like they just take your normal human resources person and turn the volume up to 100, like my normal mic volume is. So I'll stop talking now. But I'm excited to talk about it because the movie was fun.
All right. Any more opening thoughts before we jump into scene by scene?
No,
Give me a hell yeah. Oh, sorry.
Oh, hell yeah. All right. All right, the film starts with Derek narrating and showing us. All right, one more thing. This movie was very hard to take scene by scene on because there is so much going on all the time. It's
a lot of shit happening, man.
My fingers were exhausted by the end of taking scene by scene.
Oh, but Nico, before you go, Nico, big round of applause for the runtime on this film. Under 90 fucking minutes, baby. Yes, good job, Bryan. Good pick. 10 out of 10. A 10.
Hey, I wish I could take credit.
All right, the film starts with Derek narrating and showing us a painting of the ID7 virus, and he explains what it does. It throws off the balance between voice and reason in your brain. We now see office workers fighting and having sex. It's called the red eye virus. It's a very violent scene going on. It started in Des Moines, Iowa, but has spread worldwide. Virus isn't lethal, but the infected people can kill. We see Neville Reed stab a man to death, and thanks to a loophole, he walked away from murder charges thanks to a doctor's note. Title card. We're now at Towers and Smythe Corporation. It's fueled by greed and dishonesty. 6 months of working there, Derek is a totally different person. He's working hard to be a bigwig. The higher he rose, the more he felt he was losing himself. We now see a normal office environment, and then we see a guy is cussing a woman out, and Derek pulls him to the side to show him a clip of him having sex at the office. He threatens to sell the clip to his wife if he doesn't stop verbally assaulting the woman. Derek is bitching about not having his coffee mug and now takes a call from David, but it's actually his sister Lucy. He fake apologizes for not making it to her birthday party. She asks him to at least paint something cool, and she complains he doesn't have time for anything anymore. He hangs up on her. Derek goes to his 9 o'clock appointment with Melanie. She's meeting with him to get more time for her client to hold off on her foreclosure. She doesn't know what a deed in lieu is, but it's revealed she's one of the borrowers. She needs 2 more months, he tells him. She begs not to be kicked out. She asks who is on her case. He tells her Irene Smythe. Derek calls her, and now we see Melanie being escorted out by security. Derek drinks some infected water. A woman tells him he's in deep shit and fucking up the Vandercorp case, but he says that's Kara's, not his. He storms out, and we see all the other employees looking sick and exchanging germs. Derek takes the elevator to see Kara. He calls her Mussolini. She's got the boss's ear, and she whispers poison. He gets his coat and goes to Kara's floor. Kara is on a treadmill bitching at an employee. He notices his mug and asks where she got it. Kara calls Megan and asks where she got it from. He tells Kara Vandercorp is on her hands. She now tells him file 45A was assigned to him. He says he's being set up. He snatches the file from her hands and she tries to make a plea. The two take the elevator up to John Towers' office. Derek calls him a maniac. He shows them a drawing and asks what they see. Kara draws on the picture, and now John asks for the file. John says he's going to need some scalps once Vandercorp finds out. Derek makes his case and now tells John via picture that it's Kara, the bad soldier. And John tells Derek he can leave the office now. All right, Brian, that's opening scenes. What you got?
Brian,
Yeah.
before you start, I just wanted to make one thing clear. The accents that they slip in and out of in this film makes it very difficult to understand them sometimes. They have an American accent, and then there's some Irish accents, some English accents that come on out, and they slip in. Like, the characters are really good actors, but they slip in and out of their actual accents quite a bit. I don't know if anyone else noticed that. Sorry, but
I didn't really notice that.
It happens right here pretty early on.
No, I didn't really notice that. But the opening, so with the whole explanation, according to Lynch, this was the last scene that they actually shot. And let me say, I mean, do we really, quote, air quotes, need the explanation by Derek? I'm not sure we do, because, I mean, we could get the gist throughout the movie, but holy shit, it's fun as hell. I love the 300 type look where it's, desaturated and just kind of hints of red throughout the blood and the red eye. Right off the bat, you get this surreal, like, kind of graphic novel type feel. And you're in for a ride, like, for sure. Lynch said that the producer came up to him and said, "Hey, this is the last scene, I know, but how are we going to make it look different, from the other Office Spaces?" And Steve Gaynor, the DP, just walked by apparently and said, "We're shooting in black and white." And Lynch was like, "Oh shit, like, that's a great idea." And he said, so it's basically all just on a whim, and I think it's fucking fantastic. Sean Sorensen, one of the producers, was in this scene. Apparently they had to cut it out, the part where he was jerking off furiously, according to Lynch. He said Lynch was trying to get across everything that, is the effects of the virus, but also setting up the Neville Reed thing, which is basically, the perpetuator, or at least the underlying theme of the story, that you can do, basically whatever you want, you can get away with it. But yeah, that was cut. And first of all, this elevator scene, Lynch said they shot it in about 3 hours, and it was such a cramped space that, like, everyone kept getting sick from breathing each other's, quote, pot breath, according to Yeun. And holy shit, I mean, this may be the best performance Yeun gives all movie, just knowing that not only did they shoot this in 3 hours, but he has to give you years worth of different emotions in what, like 5 or 6 cuts and only like 30 seconds of screen time. And to me, that's super ass impressive. But this makes me want to go ahead and bring up the cinematography. Uh, I think it makes this movie, because we all agree there's not much of a plot, right? It's pretty standard, but I was just captivated as hell from beginning to end. I mean, because each shot's always doing something. Like it's always moving in, shaky cam, or focusing on a fucking glass with the characters blurred out in the background, or just a painting. Just it's visually interesting as hell all the time to me, and I can't say that enough. The last thing I want to say on this, though, I feel like the scene with Derek saving the secretary, I think is super important. Like it's a little thing, but it sets him up immediately as a pretty semi good guy, and lets you know that he's got like a good heart despite what you're about to see him do. Also that he's obviously great at finding loopholes, which sets up the entire movie. But you definitely need that, I think, because otherwise, I think Derek maybe would immediately come off as an asshole. Starting him off, in the scene in the meeting room with Melanie like that. So I think it was very important. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I really do love this beginning for a couple reasons. One, you mentioned the cinematography, which I was going to, but to piggyback off of what you said, it was hard to take my eyes off of this. I also love the black and white against the red, showing the eye. I love. I'm gonna disagree with you slightly. I like this exposition dump. I think adding the fact that he found the loophole, gets the guy off the case, adds something to the story for me as far as why he works there, what he does there, and how he's in the position he's in. And that may not have been what you meant, but just adding that exposition to me as a viewer helped a little bit, or sometimes it doesn't help.
I loved it too.
Yeah.
I was just saying, was it? I mean, I loved it, so don't cut it out. So definitely don't do that. But I just think that you could technically have gotten
Yeah.
everything across in the rest of the story, like everything that he explains, the Neville Reed stuff, everything you kind of get throughout the movie anyway. But hey, don't get me wrong, I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I compare it to to Tommy in Halloween Kills, giving us a 3-minute stand-up rendition of everything that happened 40 years ago. That's not the exposition we need. This is the right amount. It's the right way to kind of give us just enough backstory, let us know how we got here, why we're here. And you mentioned the elevator scene. I love it because that's exactly. I talked about it in the open. That's exactly how you go into a new job. Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready to go to work. You're so happy, and then about 6 months in, you're groggy. Your eyes are red. You're tired of this shit. Your hair is all fucked up. Like that's how real life people are at their job, even if they love their job. That's just the way it goes, and so that was very relatable. Love the scene where he helps the secretary. First of all, we know because of this, Derek is a smart guy. One, he found the loophole in the case, but now he's kind of, he's got a, he has a guy on the ropes. Hey, you better back the fuck up, buddy, because I got you. Smart, cunning guy. And to me, I'm glad you mentioned the thing about him being a good guy, because this is about the only part of the movie where I'm like, okay, that's the guy I'm supposed to pull for. Because the rest of the film, he does some fucked up shit. I know
that's why
he's
I think it's so important.
Yeah, it is super important, and it lets us know right off the bat who we're supposed to be cheering for. And I think I agree with you. Very important. And I like the scene. I think it's funny, adds a little bit of levity. It's like, oh, that's you. Oh, yeah, my bad, man. Like, really good, just like little bits of humor throughout the film that I think kind of keep me entertained. It's not so serious, so dragging down. I just want to say this. The character of Kara is awesome. We've all had someone at our job like that tries to backstab people to get ahead. It works, which is even more frustrating. And a character everyone can kind of see on screen and relate to, played so well. And I'm going to butcher her last name, so I'm just going to say Miss Caroline. Caroline, she's great. She can also call me sometime. Speaking of call me sometime, since we're here, Samara Weaving, please, for the love of God, call me sometime. I love you, Catherine. But no, I like. Now I know we kind of mentioned that the movie didn't have a plot, but I kind of like where this is heading. Like I like the Derek Boss Kara dynamic. and what why it's going this way. So I think it's just enough exposition to lead us into what ends up being a free for all. Nico mentioned the end of Cabin in the Woods. Very true. After this first scene and a half, sets of scenes here that we have, it's kind of 90 miles per hour or 90 miles per hour after this. So I think this is a lot of fun and it sets up good for the rest of the film.
All right,
Before you go,
go ahead.
go ahead. The only thing I wanted to say is the line, the one raindrop thinks it's caused no one raindrop thinks it caused the flood. Like, how great is that line?
That's a great line.
And it's just
Yep.
and it's so obviously so essential to Derek's overall arc and this whole lesson that he really, learns throughout the movie. But I just had to shout out that line. I loved it.
Oh yeah,
and in that scene, great acting by Samara Weaving, by the way. She's great.
All right, Derek is in Ewan's office, and he tells him about what's going on with Vandercorp. He tells Derek he's the perfect fall guy. He tries to call Kara, but she walks into the office and tells Derek to pack his shit, and he says he wants his mug back. John shows the 9 the Vandercorp file. John says they should hang, draw, and quarter him. We now meet Lester McGill, head of human resources. He's cold-blooded. They call him the Reaper. Lester enters Derek's office and tells him he doesn't care what happened, and he hopes Kara dies promptly. Basically, Lester don't like nobody. Derek asks why should he sign this crap. To get rich, Lester says. Derek wants to do this the right way. He wants to plead his case to John and the 9. We now see SWAT trucks pull up to the office building. They force everyone back inside. A woman from the CDC puts up warning tape. Derek is being escorted out, but they're stopped with everyone else. John is told by the CDC spokesperson the infected in the building will display symptoms soon, and they've already started to release a cure for the virus in their ventilation system, and it'll take 8 hours. We see Derek snap and now fights a guy, and he kills a man with scissors. He says, I think I just punched a rhino in the face. Derek yells that he has to make his case, and he tries to calm Derek down. The two walk away, but Derek sneaks off from him. The CDC spokeswoman now tells the 9 and John what the virus can do to people. We now see the employees all begin to lose it. John beats the table with a golf club and says he loses $500,000 if all the employees stop working. He orders the 9 to make them all work. Derek is snatched out an elevator by Colton Snyder and has his ass kicked. They take Derek's phone and they call the boss. Derek tells him he was just going to ask for his job back as he's punched again. The boss asks him if Derek is crying. They say no, so they spray him in the eyes with mace. Ewan tries to come help him, but he's killed by being punched, and he falls back into a bowl with nails protruding out. He gets stabbed in the back of the head. John says the virus killed him, not you. Derek is punched with brass knuckles, and he's now locked up with Melanie. Derek wakes up to Melanie, who spits on him. They now spit on each other, and they start to fight. He tells her he got fired, that's why he's in here. She says she's going to sue all of them. He says it involves the virus, so they're all exempt. He now says they can help each other. He tells her Irene is up there too, and they can all get their payback. He says he'll stop being an asshole so she'll get off of him. Derek now looks for a loophole. He's going to build a frankenphone. The boss has told Derek managed to call the CEO of Vandercorp, and John is on the call with the CEO. Frank says he's concerned of ulterior motives with TSC. Frank asks Derek if TSC dropped the ball on this one. Frank tears up John's last invoice and ends the call. Derek says to Melanie that went well. John says he wants his hands ripped from his body. All right, go ahead, Bryan.
So I got a lot on this one, so just bear with me here. But tone to me in this movie, I think, is so fucking important. Like in that last set of scenes, just the little stuff like the fucking mug, forget the fact that it literally matches the dress that Kara's secretary is wearing. But I mean, this movie, like Crank 2, I mean, it really walks that line of satirical and serious where you could easily go too far one direction and then you get Belko experiment or you get a full spoof. And, and the more times I watch this, just the more I respect what this movie is doing and how fun of a watch it really is. But the coffee mug, if you've been in this corporate setting, stuff like that is so important. It's stuff like that where it's really the only thing that you can hold on to, where it's your uniqueness. And I think that's brilliantly portrayed here. Otherwise you're just, lost in the corporate monotonous generic world. So I thought that was good. another example of just such a beautiful shot when Kara walks into Ewan's office and the camera just comes in and then just totally circles her as Derek, gets up in her face. It's all throughout. And if I brought up, every single time the camera work was good, that's literally all I'd be talking about. But I just wanted to touch on this one because it stood out to me. And so it's just a little tidbit I learned from the commentary. This eye effect was apparently a pain in the ass. Like you expect it to be like contacts or something just easy, but apparently like every single scene that needed someone with a red eye, they had to bring in somebody with this big metallic reflective ball that they would just shoot a 360 of the entire room and like the lighting with the people in it. So the special effects team could do the eye effect. I thought that was super interesting because that was apparently a lot harder than it looked. And like you mentioned, Mike, in the opening, the character of the Reaper, the HR guy, I mean, the fact that, again, it's not going too far into satirical space for me, but he's got a cane that you see Derek's artistic rendering of him, resembling a scythe. And just the little stuff of him, like having to look at the folder to even see his name was Derek in the first place. Derek, you're right. Dallas Roberts does such a great job in this role, and he's almost unrecognizable to me. I don't know what it is, but I mean, he was in 310 to Yuma, Dallas Buyers Club, Walk the Line, The Gray. He's just been in a ton of shit. Hell, he was even in Walking Dead 2 with Yeun. And just a little tidbit, since it was shooting on location, this entire SWAT team is actually the Serbian National Guard. Lynch said that one day on set, they had to have all 30 guys take off all of their gear and show them that it was empty, and said it was like a montage out of Expendables, which sounds like a wet dream for me. But so lastly, like this is one of my only problems in the movie. You brought it up, Nico, in your opening there. I don't understand why everyone isn't loose cannons either. Like why are only some people giving in to the violent sexual tendencies, yet other ones are like the board members, for instance, just really aren't. Shouldn't that boardroom be like a giant murder orgy scene or something too? I mean, like, are they just like relaxed and chill because they're board members and they don't care? I mean, actually, I don't even think any of them speak in this movie. And that's another fun fact. Apparently, Lynch picked them from a cast sheet, just like these Serbian actors, to make up like the board. And he found out later that they were all like the best of the best, like the Jack Nicholson and Kathy Bates of Serbian movies. And he said he just fucking wasted them because he basically was sitting at the board table and didn't speak the entire movie. So I thought that was pretty hilarious. But that's all I had.
Speaking of Serbians, y'all want to review a Serbian film? Just kidding. Go ahead, Mike.
No, never. I'm going to tell you right now, we will never review that movie as long as I'm a part of the episode.
No, I'm never watching that movie. I'm just joking.
That's about the only film I won't do. I think that's my line there.
No, there's some other ones. Jason
X next week. Everybody get ready. All right, anyway.
It's not even the same stratosphere.
I don't know. To Bryan, it may be.
No.
Yeah, so one casualty of the runtime of this film, yes, I know, I love it. And I do indeed love the fact that it was an hour and 28 minutes. But one of the casualties is some of the side characters we don't know as well. So I think the character of Yeun, sorry, I'm not great with names sometimes. We don't get to know him, so what they're setting up with him doesn't hit as hard. Now, there's some good, you can tell they're friends. You can tell him and Derek are friends, and, they're chatting it up in his office, but it's also, there's not quite enough for me to invest in him fully. So what they kind of set up with him later, doesn't land with me as much as I would have liked it to. But I love the scene post the fact that Kara tells Derek that he's fired. Like with Lester walking down the hall, he's got the cane. You mentioned it a little bit, Bryan. He's a caricature of what a human resources person is in real life. So it's that person cranked up, to use the word we've already had on this show like 4 times, cranked up the volume on it like by 1,000. And he's so good at being very stoic. He's not even trying to be an asshole. He's just doing what HR people do. This is their job. They have to remove feeling from it, and you could tell he's removed all feeling from everything. And I like that character in this setting. I think it works really well against Derek, who's really emotional and upset about being fired. He's being screwed. Kara, the ass kisser, got what she wanted all along, which, by the way, going back to the last set of scenes, and I forgot this, I didn't put it in my notes, but it just came to my head. The way that they describe, the soldiers and the bomb and the drawings, and all Derek does is put boobs on the one that explodes. That made me laugh. It's a little sexist on accident, but it made me laugh. I'm not going to lie. Anyway, but so fast forward here. I like the interaction with Derek and Lester. I think it's funny and it's important because it's kind of the moment where you see Derek change. This is pre-virus. Look, he doesn't sign the thing. He packs his office, but you could tell even before he's infected that there, something has turned on inside of him. He's not going away quietly. He's going to do something about being railroaded. And then how timely is it, by the way, that we get office building shut down for quarantine because a virus is spreading? This movie's 3 or 4 years ahead of its time, man. like this felt all too familiar while watching it. It's funny, but it's not funny. But it is very timely. And I thought, oh boy, we've been there. Except thankfully, this virus doesn't turn us into moralists, idiots that kill people. We'll get into that. But so bringing Melanie back. First of all, I love the character. I think she is someone everyone again can relate to. It's just a common person, trying to do what's right. She wants her house back. You empathize with her plight and this big bad corp that's in her way, the bank, lawyers, all this other stuff. That's a feeling a lot of people have. They feel in over their head with this kind of stuff. And so to see him face to face with her again was a moment where you're like, because the first time I saw, obviously, Samara Weaving's in it, but I just didn't know where they were going to go with it. And I'm glad they went to, by the way, the scene where they're spitting on each other, unintentionally funny. It just is. Can't help it. It's fucking hilarious. And I love the character. And I love the ability. This is my last thing. I love the ability of Derek to think on his feet. How can I turn this shitty situation into a good one? And he does that so often throughout the film. Now, is my man Derek about to go on a killing spree? Yes. But my man Derek is only doing that because of the virus / he's thinking on his feet. How the fuck am I going to get out of this? It's kind of kill or be killed. So while I have a problem with some of the stuff going forward, which Nico mentioned at the top of the show, where there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to this virus, even in this, set of scenes right here where things start to go haywire and there's people killing people already and beating the crap out of people, including Derek's like, I think I just hit a rhino, which is hilarious. That is a little too loose for me. I would like more rules with the virus. Somebody that does that really well is the Dawn of the Dead remake. These are the rules. We're going to follow these rules for this thing that's spread amongst us. And this movie doesn't quite do that. So that's one small nitpick that I had. That's the most I have on any set of scenes. I'm sorry.
All right. We now see Melanie, like in air quotes, ordering a pizza, and Derek attacks the men from behind with like a 2x6 or something like
Free
that.
fucking pizza.
Oh man, terrible movie. John screams to Brenda the phone doesn't work. Derek kicks his guy's ass. Melanie asks if the guy fucked his girl because of how brutal he was. Derek takes his keys and they get some real weapons. They get wrenches, nail guns, and now they realize they have 6 hours and 15 minutes of quarantine left. Derek explains who they have to kill to get to the top floor. Lester is going to town on this potted plant with some scissors, then walks out onto the office floor. Melanie shoots nails at him and he runs back into his office, shutting them out. Melanie is tased from behind and Derek crawls away. Lester walks back out and smashes Melanie's arm with his cane, then kicks her in the stomach, giving her equal opportunity as men in the office for an ass kicking. She kicks the nail gun to Derek and he shoots at Lester. He helps Melanie up and kicks the door in. He asks for Lester's key card since he fired him. Derek tells him he wants to kick the firm's ass. Lester hands over the key card but stabs his hand with scissors and then he pounces on Melanie. She grabs the saw and saws into his chest and stomach area of Lester and killing him as the office workers watch on. She helps remove the scissors from Derek's hand. Melanie shoots a guy in the way and tells Derek to come on. Derek prints some paperwork and has Melanie record it on his phone. The Nine watches Derek's video as he talks on Neville Reed. See you soon, fuckers, Melanie tells them. John tells Kara they're heading up and he'll do everything in his power to protect her. They make a deal. She says she'll throw her access card out the window. She calls Meg in to hide the card and to make more coffee. We see surveillance footage of the chaos. Derek asks Melanie her top 3 bands. She names off some metal bands, and then he says that Dave Matthews Band is great, and he's going to take her to go see them live. John asks the CDC spokeswoman why they don't send a platoon in to stop them. He gets pissed and smashes the monitor. He says to put out a $450,000 bounty on Derek's head. It's time for them to make a move. They only have 4 hours left, and they talk about risky business. All right, go ahead, Brian.
Have you ever seen Risky Business, Nico?
Don't
answer that.
Do you know the answer?
I tried to save you.
Hey, this is scene by scene time, not bullying time.
It's always bullying time around here, boy. And by the way, Knock Knock is a really funny movie. Fuck you.
Doesn't mean it's good.
All right. We're off the rails. Anyway, okay. So I love Melanie and Derek coming together, really. I mean, because her character really helps basically level the playing field for Derek. I mean, it's not a hero and a damsel in distress. There's not a sidekick, really, to me. I mean, they're both heroes and both each other's sidekicks, really. Weaving is just such a badass and so good here. I mean, these punches look real. I mean, that they give each other. And, I didn't touch on you did, but I didn't touch on the spitting there. But this all kinds of because it all kind of runs together. But how fucking gross is that? Like, you just don't see each other spitting on people in movies like this. I mean, it's just apparently Lynch expected Yin or Sam to have a problem with it, and they just never did. And they were just both game. And to me, it just adds so much savageness to it. I don't know. So another thing, apparently there was almost no stunt actors either. The majority of all of these fights were all done by the lead actors. And holy shit, I think they're done pretty phenomenally. Another thing is Derek does show flashes of craziness, like when he's beating the shit out of his security guy at the start of this set of scenes, but he's pretty even keeled. I mean, and maybe that's not the right word. He's just not off his rails as many of the people are. And maybe that's because they have caffeine and drugs in their system, and maybe he doesn't. I don't know the reasoning. I'm just kind of making that up there, but he definitely feels more controlled than most of the others we see anyway. Now this scene with the Reaper, and I love the line, by the way, "You open doors like my grandmother fucks." I mean, apparently that's an old adage that Lynch's family, he said, uses a lot, but just, him just casually breaking her hand, at least it appears that way. And, her just kind of acting like it never happened the rest of the movie, and Derek being stabbed with the fucking scissors. That's another thing. And I know I'm all over the place here, but I wish that they would have explained, maybe the pain part of the brain doesn't register as much because of what kind of beating that they take this movie. But they're just pretty much okay at the end. I don't know. That did stand out and bother me a little bit. And so this bathroom scene, apparently all that was written on the script was, quote, "bathroom scene, day, they wait, cut to next scene." That was really it. All the talk about the Dave Matthews stuff, everything between Derek and Melanie was all improvised, basically on the spot. And that's why it's one of my favorite scenes in this movie, is because it's a break in the action, and it's literally two people just having a conversation, and it's developing that relationship, and it's such a small part, but it's such a big part to me, if that makes sense. And so this is also the scene where, and I'll let Mike touch on it, I won't steal his fun fact, but I do have a little bit more on it when he goes from the director's commentary. So I want to touch on that whenever you do, Mike. But otherwise, that's all I had.
Okay, yeah. So I kind of mentioned it in my last set of scenes, where this is where the movie gets it really bonkers. A lot happens in a short period of time, and so it got hard to take some notes. I did my best, but it was like, oh, there's a fight. Oh, there's a fight. Oh, somebody got killed. Oh, shit, what's happening over here? Something you mentioned that I have literally in all caps is Melanie and Derek are co-captains of this thing. 1,000% agree with you. There is, their hands are rated E for fucking everybody, bro. Like they split the amount of kills, in my opinion. Now I could be wrong. I didn't sit there and count every kill, and I didn't watch Dead Meat's kill count either, so I'm not really sure. But to me, it seems like they both just kick ass and take names the entire time. And I think having them on the same level was really cool to see, where it didn't make one feel like a sidekick character. I really did enjoy that. This standoff, with the people in the office, I think is right out of an old Western, like this town ain't big enough for the two of us kind of vibe. And I think it was a modern take on that. And I thought that was really cool, man. I think the nail gun, by the way, I've said this before. I like unique weapons in a horror film. Obviously knives and guns and machetes and, razor gloves or knife gloves, excuse me, my bad. We've seen all that. But a nail gun? I'm here, man. I am here for a unique ass weapon. I really am. And I think, dude, if you've ever operated one of those things, they come with some force. And if one hits you in the wrong place, you may not be dead, but you're going to want to be dead, okay? And so I like that as a weapon, how they kind of just, run through all of that. And so here's my thing. I love this scene in the bathroom, and this is my last thing, because of what it sets up later in the film as one of the parts I laughed the hardest at, where they're sitting there talking about the music, and she thought, what would you expect me to say, Dave Matthews Band? And you got Derek arguing for my guy DMB, which I'm going to disagree with Derek ever so slightly on one thing. One, I love Dave Matthews. I know I'm in the minority of a lot of people. Got it. Totally understand. It's not for everybody. Totally got it. One thing I disagree with a lot of his fans on is how great they are live. And I'm just going to air this out here right now. I love all their records. I think their studio stuff is great. But live, I think everyone enjoys them live because they're stoned off their ass. All Dave Matthews Band does live is jam band. And they just play and play and play and instrumental. And they play like one of their hit songs that everybody knows. They never do Crash Into Me, you assholes. They just play like like, I'm like, are you guys ever going to sing or jump off stage or do anything? I've sat through their concerts twice. And again, I'm going to get shit on for liking Dave Matthews Band in the first place. Okay. So I'm taking a bullet here, but I'm giving one back by saying DMB Live is overrated as fuck. So Derek, you're wrong, my man. But this little conversation sets up something later in the film that I think is one of the funniest parts of the film. Obviously, you guys already know, but the fact that Dave Matthews plays later on in the film when something serious is going on is fucking great. So that's all I had. Again, hard to take notes on a lot of chaos, but I thought it was a lot. Man, I'm having fun with it. That's the thing I love about this movie is I'm having fun. There's no dip, in my opinion.
Oh, you forgot your fun fact, Mike. I'll hit on it because
I'm sorry. I got lost in my sauce.
All right, so
we went on a 3-minute soliloquy about Dave Matthews Band.
I know I got lost in my sauce. I'm sorry.
I was crying laughing over here.
That was, but hey, let me touch. So
it is a great fact.
The couple that was having sex in the background while Derek, talked to the camera, having that conversation with John, were real life couple and really having sex on set. So Lynch said the AD actually came over to him and was like, they're really having sex. And Lynch and Yin is like, what the fuck? No way. And he says, what? You don't remember the smell? So Lynch said that since they were using extras like where English wasn't their first language, he said it was like playing a game of telephone sometimes. And so he thinks that the couple just got the impression that Lynch wanted them to just really start going at it. So they did. He goes into some pretty graphic hygiene aspects. So I'll let you go listen to the director's commentary for that one. But Listen for yourself. But yeah, so really having sex there.
Derek and Melanie see Kara and Meg, and they have a standoff between cubicles. The phone rings, and it's Mark, a psychologist with the CDC. He's trying to calm Derek down. Derek tells him how he feels. He goes off on all the stuff he wants to do. Mark tells Derek to sit down and take a deep breath and talk it out. Derek has Melanie play music. He tells the others, if you don't want to be a part of this, to leave now, but if not, here's the terms and conditions. Kara walks away as everyone's ready for battle. They start to fight. Chaotic fight scene as Melanie beats people with hammers and Derek uses a fire extinguisher. The two walk away victorious, with Mark still on the phone. They both enter Kara's office. He demands the key card. He makes a truce with Kara. Kara smashes his coffee mug against the wall, and she calls Meg into the office. The key card was put in the microwave and is now fried. Kara snaps on Meg, calling her an incompetent assistant. Meg tells Kara she was offered a promotion because they knew Kara would betray them. Meg stabs Kara to death with scissors, and Melanie laughs hysterically. Derek calls John, says no more bullshit. He tells John Meg is crazy. Melanie loves Kara's shoes. They comfy as fuck. Fuck this place, he says. He asks about the foreclosure paperwork. He looks through it and says she's in luck. He says a signature from upstairs could void it. He apologizes for not helping her earlier. She says it's okay, just don't do it again. John, now we see like on video, he pisses on Ewan's dead body to mock Derek. Derek begins to weep and Melanie consoles him. The two start to kiss and have sexy time to a groovy ass tune. We also see other employees at the entrance trying to get out. Melanie and Derek lay in bliss, and he tells her they should consider a dog, marriage, and an apartment. He says they can't get up without a key card, but he may know another way. They get to Ray, who's going bonkers. Derek wants Ray to hack into somebody's computer. They want to hack into Irene's computer. She calls Ray and asks what's wrong with her computer. He bitches about all the work he has to do by himself. He sends her some files to install. They've made it into her computer. Irene calls Ray, but Derek answers and says he has all the files. If she wants it back, to come down and come get it. Irene says he wants her backup keycard. She says she's going to meet him. Irene goes down to meet with Derek and Melanie. Derek pats her down and introduces Melanie to her. Irene tries to reach for the hidden gun, but Derek's already got it and asks for the keycard again. Melanie now says she has to sign off on the foreclosure papers. She tells him to take it upstairs and get it signed. She smashes the hard drive. Derek goes to leave but is attacked, and Irene and Melanie fight. The guy shoots all the stuffed bears instead of Derek and puts on his brass knuckles. Bullets are for cowards. Irene tells Melanie that card doesn't work. You need an access code. Colton goes to spray mace in Derek's eyes, but he catches it all in his mouth and spits in his eyes. He pulls a screwdriver out of his chest and stabs him in the head. Now Derek crawls away and stabs the water keg to rinse the mace out of his mouth. And the next set of scenes are the ending. Go ahead, Brian.
So yeah, just more brilliant cinematography here at the beginning, where like Derek and Melanie walk into the siren's office floor, and it just slow motion shows them look over at each other from across the office, and then there's even one shot of Kara through this like fence type wall. Man, I fucking love the cinematography in this film. And so this is my favorite part of the movie for a bunch of reasons. This fight is just badass, especially Weaving. I mean, holy shit. And her putting those sunglasses down just before, like basically the putting your armor on before the battle. And yeah, the song I thought it was hilarious. I loved it. Yen said that shooting this scene was painful. Again, they did most of their own stunt work and had to really sell some of those hits. And but I think the camera angles were perfect in helping it along. Again, some of these people are super powered at a scene. It kind of appears like, I mean, getting hit with a fucking fire extinguisher and it basically like registering as a punch. I mean, okay, but that's cinema. But just the shot of those two just emerging from the smoke in slow motion, just only showing their feet. I thought it was a beautiful shot as well. And so the other thing I wanted to touch on, and another reason why this is my favorite set of scenes, is the office encounter with Kara. Like Weaving is so good, and apparently Lynch cut to her reaction so much just because Weaving was playing just so well off of Yen this entire time, and it was totally all, I guess, ad-libbed. Apparently, as you I guess you would say that, like all done by Weaving on the spot anyway. And it was just, man, it was so great. Like Yen does a good job, but you're getting this reactive performance basically from Weaving playing off Yen's energy, really the whole movie, but especially during this set of scenes here, or this scene right here on the couch, when the secretary comes in, and just the little shit like her spotting those shoes under the desk, and really, I mean, you can tell without a word, like her mind's wandering. Just fantastic little nuances like that here. I love Claire Delamar as Meg is fantastic to me too. She has a lot of Anna Camp vibes. Um, she looks a lot like Anna Camp to me, especially in this group of scenes. I don't know if you know who that is, but Pitch Perfect for sure. Something else I wanted to point out I love is the sex scene. Like, I love the cuts back to the police outside and the shots of almost like zombie like people trying to get out. It really shows the craziness that's happening like while they're having sex. Like, that's the backdrop they're having sex to. So I think that's hilarious. I thought it was well done. Again, just loving the scene, seeing the arc here for Derek. I think it's just so important and really well done. And you can see it like really start to come over the quote unquote roller coaster hump here, where when he asked to take another look at those papers, just to use an analogy we've used before here on like when you're starting to see Derek become who he's always wanted to be. And again, I think this fight scene in the office with Irene and Derek and the security dude and Melanie, just adding to another amazing group of scenes. Last thing, if you look closely in the set of scenes, you can actually see the holes in the wall from the previous takes where they were smashing the mugs a few times. And speaking of looking closely, I didn't see the 70-year-old man run by with his dick out the first time I watched it. Lynch mentioned it like in the director's commentary. I started dying laughing. Like it was, they said to go on there and hashtag 70-year-old dick or something. I wish I could remember on Twitter. But anyway, that's hilarious. Go ahead, Mike.
And y'all thought my soliloquy was bad. Anyway, I would never hashtag that. Respectfully, of course. There's nothing wrong with. Anyway, so listen, I was ahead of myself. I was a scene too early. So I've kind of already talked about this standoff, this old timey Western like standoff that was done for a modern way. I just want to repeat that it's badass. I love how the people in the office kind of go Lord of the Flies on it. They're all dressed up in different ways with like headbands on and shit. Like all hell is breaking loose, so we have to change our clothes to kind of represent like, I don't know. I thought that was kind of a fun touch. And again, I mentioned the fact that there's unique weapons. There's hammers, there's wrenches, there's nail guns. I think it all makes for some really awesome kills. By the way, when we get to favorite and least favorite kills, I'm going to have a hard time picking. I have it narrowed down, but this is one of the first shows in a long time that I don't have them picked as we're still recording. So, because I just have a couple that I think were really good. And I have a couple that I wish were on screen. So, look, I love this sex scene for a couple reasons. One, the thing that you mentioned, Bryan, is the fact the back and forth with the real world and what's going on around them, and then they're in this moment just doing what people do, man. It's a really good. It's not. This is going to be weird. I don't know if I've ever said this, but it's a fun sex scene. Like, it's not too serious. It's not played for laughs. It's just kind of fun, like the rest of the movie, where you're kind of like, yeah, you want to see these two hook up because they've been, that tension chemistry's been there for a little bit. But to have it happen with everyone else's blood on them and stuff, it's just a little over the top and ridiculous, and I think it's pretty fun too. Yeah, so I already kind of touched on the interaction with Kara, the final standoff, if you will, where it shows that Derek and Melanie are smarter than her, and I think that finally she's getting her comeuppance, which I love, and I love that it comes at the hands of Meg, and there's the Family Guy joke with the character of Meg, and they kind of treat Meg like Meg in this movie a little bit, and to see her finally get some vengeance is really fun. To see her kind of go off, and I really enjoyed that interaction. I think it's really good, and to see Kara get what was coming to her, I really appreciate it as well. I didn't mention it, but I'm with you, Bryan. This is my favorite set of scenes because there's not one lag, there's not one bad. It all kind of really gels together nicely. When you get Irene and the guard and that fight scene, I think it's really good, man. It's creative. I like how again Derek and Melanie outsmart these two, in more than one way. You know, it looks like Derek's about to be left for dead, and he catches the mace in his mouth and spits it back into his eyes. That is so smart thinking on your feet. I love that character trait in this character. You know, a lot of times we see these horror movies and the people we're pulling for are idiots, like total fucking idiots. And here we have someone that we're pulling for that's not a dumbass. Like, he's thinking ahead, and he has a partner who's just as smart. Like, it's kind of fun to pull for people that don't immediately put themselves in trouble all the time, like a standard slasher. So I really enjoy that. And I love, you know, here at the end, how they trick Irene with the access code, and he unties her while he's kissing her, all the screws in the mouth, like all of that stuff, I think is really smart, really fun, a really good way to take us into the end. So this is my favorite set of scenes. I don't think there's one bad part of this block of scenes here.
Hey Nico, before you go, I didn't know if you were going to bring up or not, but Joe Lynch actually plays the IT guy role, and he said he did it because they literally ran out of English-speaking Serbian people to use, according to him. So it was like easier for him to play it than dubbing someone in. And can I say, I hope I get to tell Joe Lynch this, myself one day. As an IT guy myself, I get it. I get it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
He wasn't
Okay,
bad
I
actor
guess.
either.
Hey, real quick,
all right.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say, Brian, you could cut my thing about accents earlier, because I just realized everyone's accent that keeps slipping out of is Serbian. Because they definitely do. Like, there's definitely some slips of the way people say the word our or are or there or here. Like, they slip out of their quote unquote American accent, which there's a ton of American accents, but and to, a different accent, whatever it may be. So I caught it a couple times, especially when they're all sitting around the table as the nine. You could definitely hear it in everyone's voice there.
I mean, he was a good actor, Mike, but I know you wouldn't agree. He's probably no Quentin Tarantino.
All right. I give this movie a big fuck you. See you next week.
Oh, wow.
All right,
Just
here's the
you
ending.
Picked it, Brian, son of a bitch.
All right, Derek goes back into the room and asks for the code. Irene says to give her Melanie in exchange. Derek now punches Melanie, making the deal with Irene. Melanie is going off, calling Derek the same as the others. Irene walks away, and Derek kisses Melanie. Derek gets in the elevator and reveals the loose bolts and nuts he removed from Melanie's chair. Melanie appears behind Irene, bludgeoning her with the hammer off screen. Derek now punches himself as he takes the elevator up to John's office. He's going crazy. He makes it to the 9. Derek gets to the table, and John tosses in the terms of his surrender. Derek laughs, calling him a piece of shit. John sends 2 attractive women to Derek to pitch the offer and butter him up. Sign it, Derek. Be smart. Be rich. Derek sees the foreclosure papers and says no. One woman smashes like a wine glass or a champagne glass on the table, accidentally stabbing the other in the throat, and Derek punches the other girl. Derek and John square off now in a golf club and crescent wrench duel. The 2 men fight. John throws cocaine in his eyes and can't see anymore. John hits him with the club and chokes him with it. Derek puts the brass knuckles on and kicks John's ass now. He orders John to look at his partners. Derek orders a vote, and they all vote for Derek to kill him. John calls him a pussy, but Derek punches him, knocking him over the ledge into his death. Derek narrates again. Derek explains the situation to the 9, and he says he didn't have a job. The job had him. We see Derek in a painting class. They hand Derek the file, and he gets John's job. Derek and Melanie shoot each other birds in the painting class. Derek took the CEO job to sign off on Melanie's foreclosure, then immediately quits. And I like this quote too. Paint your own path to success in work, love, and life, he says. Then we see John's body splatter on the ground. Title card and the end credits roll right as everyone exits the building when quarantine's over. Go ahead, Brian. What did you think of the ending?
So the first time I watched this, and even now, I don't really agree with this choice. Like, I just think that after being betrayed, which she feels like she has been betrayed at this point. I mean, he knocked her out, hit her in the back of the head. Melanie is not just gonna kiss Derek. Like, I didn't buy that. I didn't like that. Plus, it's not like he's handing her a key to some handcuffs. He's literally just showing her that he unhooked the chair. So I don't know. I don't get why it's. I mean, I get why it's there, but I'm not a fan of it. Something else I learned from this, it's about the Wilhelm scream. Like I always thought it was just the Star Wars or Mortal Kombat when you knocked him in the pit of spikes scream, because like that's the first time I'd ever heard that sound effect. But no, like that scream when Dickface, what's his name, John, is thrown off the ledge, and I'll mark this and I'll try to insert it here for you to be like, oh yeah, that. But if I miss it, I'm sorry, Google it. But no, it's called the Wilhelm sound effect, and it's like a stock sound effect, and that was actually first recorded in 1951 and used over 400 different properties so far, according to Al Gore's internet. And but I like this ending though. Like this entire final act, I think is very satisfying to me. I like how you basically see Derek go from white collar to blue collar by the end, you know, but finds himself basically in the process. So Lynch actually just he also talked about on the director's commentary about how Weaving and Melanie Weaving as Melanie was actually like going to basically be the Tyler Durden to Derek, almost like not really there physically, but just a figment of his repressed id as like a twist. I'm glad they didn't go that route though, because I really like their chemistry, and I would have felt cheated, I think, by the end. Another ending they shot was him taking the job, and in their mind, the bad guys, quote unquote bad guys, the corporate assholes per se, won. You know, they were winning. Apparently, they actually showed the producers that ending and what they actually went with this original ending. And to quote, the producers were like, "quote Fuck, I don't know which one I like better." So it actually took them a lot of time to kind of decide to go with the one that they did. Lynch decided to go that route we got, but anyway, I just thought that was interesting. I liked it. Go ahead.
Uh, yeah, I like the ending quite a bit because it's, you know, sometimes in a horror movie I like the balls to not give us a happy ending, which I've talked about many times on this show. Where I like when someone's got the chutzpah to just cut us off at the knees, man. You know, or cut our shins off like Cotton Hill. No happy ending for you. You know, just but this one gives us a good happy ending, and I think it works because Derek realizes who he is. You know, and we kind of got a glimpse of him being a good person at the beginning of the movie. He catches the virus, he loses all moral code, but by the end of this thing, he comes back around. He shows, his real heart. And I think this fight scene between him and John is really good. Again, unique weapons. You got brass knuckles, a golf club. Again, just more stuff that they found around the office. I really like that. And Belko does this, as well with staplers and wraps, things that hold tape. Like they do the same thing. So I really enjoyed that aspect. I liked it. I love the character moment where he takes it, or he takes the job, signs it, then signs, the thing to void Melanie's situation, and then quits. I like that. And something I didn't touch on throughout the entire film that I want to touch on here because it's a big point at the end is going back and forth between real life and his paintings and the way he's seeing them as a narrator later. I really thought that was cool. Like I like that and how it connected the two, time frames. I think that was really good. And I liked how it all wrapped up here at the end. A lot of times in horror, I don't want our female lead and our male lead to end up in a relationship, but this is one where the story was told well enough, and I think there's a lot of chemistry there, so I'm happy that that's how that ended up, or I'm assuming anyway, since they both ended up flicking each other off at the end. And if you haven't ever done that with your significant other, are you really dating? Pretty sure everyone's done that. So all in all, I thought the film was really good. I love how relatable it is just to be that culture we live in. And I think I like that this movie gave it a middle finger in a way, and it was funny. And I kind of touched on when we reviewed Tourist Trap. Is this the best horror film of all time? No. Is it scary? No. But it is genuinely fun and funny at that. And there's some genuine moments of terror if I put myself in the shoes of these people. So all in all, I thought it was a really good watch.
All right. Any more final thoughts before we jump into social media comments and questions?
Yeah, where Dave Matthews plays right here when all the shit is going down. It's hilarious. It's so good. And it just saying, it had to be Ants Martin, of course, which I'm not here to hype up Dave Matthews, but you should listen to Ants Martin. Anyway. Not live though. Not live.
All right.
Studio.
All right. We'll do Twitter first. Kevin Scanlon, he just tweeted us. Haven't seen this one yet, so I have to check it out. It's worth a watch, man. And Eric Shepard replied that that's a fun one. I would agree that it's a pretty fun movie. Let's jump over on Instagram now. The Horror Movie Crew podcast commented that this is a gem. I love Samara Weaving and her contribution to horror. Can't argue with that. Blood donor, legendary blood donor we just had on, Missy Wall. She commented she hearts Stephen Yin. Met him once and he was very gracious and nice. And Mark underscore Hef, he stole brother Mike's line. Only one sentence needed here. Sam Weaving can call me sometime.
Chill, Mark. Relax. All right, buddy. She's good. Don't worry about her.
All right. I don't have any fun facts tonight.
Of course.
Mr. Engaged over there. I don't have any fun facts. Do y'all got any?
No.
Yeah, one fun fact. I love you, Kat.
Oh, God.
All right, we got no fun facts. God. Mike, is there a budget? I didn't even look.
Yeah, there is. Let's see. The budget. Okay. Now, remember how this was released? So try to keep this in mind. The budget was $2.5 million. And by the way, you can tell in a good way. I think they used their money correctly. I think, the production value is really solid on this film. The box office, unfortunately, for our man Joe Lynch here and others, was $17,366. I'm guessing it's limited release and it's a Shudder exclusive, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
so
it is.
It has found its footing through streaming, which you could check out on Shudder. It's the freaking Netflix of horror, so you should be doing it anyway. One thing I meant to mention this at the open. This is Joe Lynch's best film because my man does Wrong Turn 2, and I want to punch him for that film. Anyway.
Oh, fuck off. Wrong Turn 2 is fun.
Wrong Turn 2 stinks. Henry Rollins is terrible in that film. That pisses me off.
All right, I'm out. I can't deal with this right now. Just kidding. All right, let's jump into our favorite kill, least favorite kill, and the rating. I'll go first. Favorite kill, I'm agreeing with Dead Meat's favorite and least favorite kills. My favorite kill is Lester, Samara Weaving. It's pretty cool to see a guy get killed with a handsaw, whatever kind of saw that was, just stabbing him in the chest and the gut, and thought that was pretty cool. Least favorite kill, I'm kind of tied between was it Irene? I think Irene and Kara, both off screen. Two bitchy women I would have liked to have seen on screen get killed. They deserved that.
Right.
Just because they were important characters. They were influential to both our, main characters. Well, we need to see them get killed.
Right.
I kind of touched on how I feel, really, but I got some other issues I didn't really touch on. The virus that we brought up, that the virus isn't deadly. They've established that. Why didn't they send the SWAT team in, escort them out, and just put them in a building and watch them for 8 hours so nobody would kill each other? But then again, 2020, 2021, 22, CDC's already proven they don't care about people. So
there you go.
No, the CDC said, "Hey, we tried. Y'all go ahead, man."
They didn't try shit in this movie.
No,
they just put medicine in the ventilator or in the ventilation system. Said, "All right, y'all survive for 8 hours." But I don't know. The movie just got a little monotonous to me. It's just Derek calling John on these calls, make some promises or threats, kill some or fight people, then just over and over. But anywho, I'm not going to get too deep into this because it's not a deep movie. I mean, this isn't The Shining. It's not Silence of the Lambs. It's an enjoyable, fun little popcorn watch, kind of like when we reviewed 28 Weeks Later. Is it a fun movie to watch? Yeah, but do I have some big issues with it? Sure. I gave it a 5.5.
Okay, I'll go back to back so Brother Bryan can go last on his pick here. I'm going to read Brother Dustin's really quick. Another plot that hits different since COVID. This one captures the fun of workplace violence that Belko experiment missed on at times. While the pacing and direction decisions for camera angles and lighting were incredible, the story development was lacking. It felt like they tried to make us care about Derek and Melanie Derek and Melanie's reasons for wanting revenge. I just didn't. It was just fun to watch them go through the office, raising hell, kicking ass, and taking names. I'd watch it again, but simply because it's a fun watch, not because it's anything great. Side note, shout out to Steven Yeun, very underrated actor. Favorite kill, Kara. She sucked as a character, and Meg's turn was both unexpected but also understandable and relatable. Least favorite kill, there are several bodies shown that were presumably killed off screen, and more people that were either shot with a nail gun or beaten but not confirmed to be dead or alive. So any of those. Gave it a 6.25. I'm going to go ahead and go real quick. Kind of said everything I need to. Fun watch. I love the relatability. We've all been in the shoes of Derek, and I think to see it played out on screen is a lot of fun. The way they do it is fun. Cinematography is great. The camera work is great. The cast, for the most part, is fantastic from top to bottom. So I think this is a really enjoyable watch. My favorite kill is probably Lester, same as you, Nico. I had a really hard time, but I went with Lester because it's not one you see very often. My least favorite is Irene because, God, I wanted to see her die on screen at the hands of Melanie. I so bad needed to see that, and we didn't get that. Anyway, all in all, very fun watch. Glad you picked it, Bryan. I'd never seen it as well as the rest of you, so it was the first time for all of us. With that being said, I gave this a 7.75.
Oh, shit.
I couldn't quite go 8. It's a fun movie, man. It's a fun movie.
Hey, I'm right there with you, man. All right, so my favorite kill is, and I'm not even sure he died, but for the sake of this and because we do what we want to, I'm saying he died. But the security guard in the basement towards the beginning where Derek just beats the ever living shit out of him, I just loved how much violent and savage that was. And least favorite kill, I went with Irene too. Like you said, for her to be such a major part of this movie, especially to Melanie, I think we should have seen the death, like for sure. So again, this movie is just fun to me. I mean, and I do disagree with the reviewers. I think Nico brought them up at the beginning that said that the movie felt like they were just kind of killing for the sake of killing. I disagree with that. I think there's a lot of layers and stuff and of stuff throughout the movie, and I hope we made anyone listening think about a little bit of those layers. But regardless, go watch it. It's a good time. Whether you feel one way or the other. Whether you feel one way or the other, like the point is you felt. Was that too deep? Put it on a fucking shirt. I rate this motherfucker of a movie a flat 8.
Nice, buddy.
All right. Our composite score for us four is 6.875. And with 20,352 ratings, IMDb gave it a 6.4. So we are slightly above it. Not bad. Not bad.
No, absolutely not.
Any final thoughts before we announce? We got a blood donor pick this week, and we'll let Mike announce his pick for next week. A relatively new movie. We got another blood donor review this week. Looking forward to it. Good friend of mine, Danny C. Naps. Her and Joe Black. They bought a final girl, final guy blood donor. We're gonna be reviewing Grave Encounters. Got a lot of good feedback when we posted our agenda for the month. A lot of people said that Grave Encounters is a kind of a guilty pleasure flick for them, so I'm looking forward to reviewing it. I'm not going to spoil how I feel about it, but Mike, do you want to announce your pick for next week for Never Seen It?
Yeah, first of all, I'm excited to review Grave Encounters, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, so next week we went with Never Seen It month, and the running joke on this show, hey, I didn't say it was bad. I said I'm excited to review it. The running joke on this show is that I've seen everything. Hey, there's 2 weeks in a row I hadn't seen the movie, so there you go. So I don't want to hear it. But it is hard for me to pick something during Never Seen It month unless I just go with something that looks absolutely terrible, like that movie Clown that's been suggested twice to us on the show. I'm not picking that. Stop asking. Just letting you know, unless we run out of films, then I'll pick it. But I went newer because, during the, pandemic, I hadn't been to see a lot of movies. And so I missed some movies that came out on demand because I just have a hard time taking in my films that way unless it's right on my Netflix or right on my Hulu, like Fear Street, for instance. And so I went with something new. and I picked Antlers, which I meant to get around to seeing. This is a 2021 film, and it's Guillermo del Toro, Scott Cooper, kind of co-directing the film together. I'm excited to talk about it, man. I've never seen it. It's got Jesse Plemons, which is an underrated actor. I love Jesse Plemons, and Kara Russell's in it as well. So I'm excited. It's got some mixed bag reviews, so hopefully it's not terrible. And because look, outside of a movie or two, I've been pretty good with my picks. All right. I mean, as far as just generally, I haven't done a stinker outside of a movie or two. Terrifier, things like that. Got it.
Halloween 2.
Blair Witch Project.
Whoa, fuck you, Nico.
I did that for the. I pick big films sometimes, even if I don't like them. I give that movie like a 4.5. Anyway,
that movie's great.
I have a pretty good track record of picking decent movies, and I don't want Antlers to ruin it, but we're about to find out if it does.
I never seen a month. I don't hold these against anybody. I mean, you've never seen it. How would you know? But speaking of Antlers, it's also got my man Rory Cochrane in it from that elite movie Oculus. But we'll move on from that because I don't need Mike slandering another good movie.
Hold on. There's an elite movie called Oculus?
Yeah, we reviewed it about 130 episodes or something like that. But anywho, let's shout out our blood donors. Let's get some important stuff.
If it was an elite film, I might have missed it, I guess.
It's not elite, but it's really good to me. Camp Level, we'll shout out our blood donors. Camp Level, reoccurring. We got Clayton J, Nina, Michelle Mirza, Andrew Ferguson, Carrie Adams, the Horror Movie Crew podcast, Alex Seligson, Eric Doolittle, and Sean Irwin. Our camp counselor reoccurring are Hunter Nelson, Karen, Dennis Kennedy, Edwin Hernandez Gunn, and Joe Swinford. Our legendary blood donors, we just had Missy Hutchinson Wall on. We just released that episode of Tourist Trap. Y'all check that out. And we also have Sean and Sarah Irwin as our final two legendary blood donors. And our final girl donor, and we'll be doing her pick this week, is Danny C. Naps. Thank you all to our blood donors. Y'all take a big burden off of us, and we really appreciate the financial support.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, any final thoughts? Y'all ready to wrap this up?
Let's wrap it up.
Make sure you go listen to Don't Go Out There on all your podcast servers, and make sure you go listen to the studio albums of Dave Matthews, not the live ones. Thanks.
Hey, and while you're there, leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes.
Yeah, but not for Dave.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, speaking of rants, since you brought that up, the iTunes ratings, that's not. Just email us. Tell us what you don't like about us. You don't just rate us 1 star if you want to. Actually, don't. Just skip on to the next.
Don't do that.
But don't write critiques on there, man. Like we can't even respond to it. Like, hey, shoot us an email.
Hey, I just want to say, for all you people that make fun of my puns, all I'm saying is I stay up late as hell and I get up early as hell. It's almost like every time we do this show, the next morning I'm The Walking Dead. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and guess what, Mike? Whether they're ready or not, you're going to still keep doing them.
Oh, my God. All right, let's get out of here.
Hey, you wait till my bachelor party when I need a babysitter. Okay, thank you.
I'm about to say,